we are still navigating on what is the best practice to be able to educate our kids, not just those in the lower grades, but also college students. So many college students are remote right now. And to talk a little bit more about this, we're going to bring in Dawn Abury. She's the Vice President for Enrollment Management over at Oakland University. Dawn, thanks for being with us.
I'm happy to be here. Good morning, Ronnie.
So before we get into, I know we want to talk about the Frontline Workers Scholarship Program, which we've talked about before here on the show. But before we get into that, can you tell us what you're seeing as far as the trend of college enrollment when it comes to the pandemic right now?
Absolutely. We are definitely noticing several trends. And, one of those are students that are questioning if college is for them. And, we have several family members and students also questioning, how are they going to pay for college? And so our team at the university is having to answer those questions. And then finally, is it safe on campus? And what are you doing to keep my son or daughter safe or myself safe as they're studying? So those are three trends and opportunities for us to help support students. And I will tell you, to me, one of the most important things is to help reinforce for students that this is a good time to still go to college, and that, they are going to have opportunities if they stay in there. Number one, they'll be utilizing the time to earn a degree and hopefully get themselves right on track to start that first job after they graduate. And they will not lose salary earnings if they delay that education. So those are very important things. The other thing is to work with the university so we can help them make it affordable. And filling out the FAFSA is obviously one of those ways. We have a lot of families whose incomes have been changed and they may qualify for both federal aid and also institutional aid. And finally, we have emergency funds available to help support students that need some extra money to help them address other concerns, such as food insecurity. Sometimes they need maybe some technology because they're sharing at home. And, at Oakland, we are able to assist them to overcome some of those challenges. I hope that helps you get a picture of some of the things that we're seeing.
It definitely does. And when we talk about families that their income has changed, how does that actually work? Because so many grants and other forms of financial aid are based on your W-2. But if your W-2 is based on your old salary and you have a new salary, maybe you're underemployed, is there a way for them to factor that into what they're going through right now?
Absolutely. I always encourage families to approach their financial aid office. There are ways that they can ask for a special circumstance and to explain what has occurred. So the financial aid officers can walk them through that, and they can help them, secure other funding. Additionally, there are university departments that sometimes will have other awards that a student might qualify for, and they might not even know about it. And of course, our financial aid office are experts, and they know which funds, and some could be need-based, obviously, and then some could also be merit-based. So they're really one of the best resources that families can work with and describe their situation.
Yeah, there are so many grants available out there, and a lot of you just don't know about them.
Honestly, that is so true. And then, of course, we were able to get some of the CARES funding, and we're getting ready for HERF 2. And the university is looking to see how we can support our students and, what criteria we'll have to meet. So since there usually is some federal criteria that they will ask us to adhere to, but we'll be happy, to share that as soon as we have some more information in the next few weeks.
Yeah, so I like how you word it. Some criteria. No, it's called strings are attached to that money.
There could be, as you know, there was the first time, but we're hearing some positive things that there might be less strings attached. So we're hopeful. And, it's always important to, stay tuned and listen to our new Secretary of Education, since they are usually responsible for helping to explain that.
This has been such a confusing time for so many people, but I will say one thing that is coming out of this. We've heard a lot about frontline workers and the support for them and scholarships that are being offered. How does that actually work, and who is available for those?
Absolutely. Well, the state of Michigan has an amazing program to support the frontline workers to help these folks actually earn an associate's degree, whether they had already started community college or not. They have specific criteria, and that deadline was, I believe, at the end of December. So as we were talking about, what we could do as a university to help support this governor's initiative and really help these folks moving forward, because they've helped us throughout the pandemic, it was important for us to do something to support them. We decided, too, that it's important that some of these folks earn their bachelor's degrees, and many of them have a dream of earning their bachelor's degree, but because the cost of education, is expensive, they might not have the means. So we thought we should create an award which serves as an extension of the statewide Futures for Frontliners initiative. It also would serve the Oakland University mission of supporting post-secondary degree attainment and impacting Michigan and, the world beyond, with our education, research, scholarship, and creative activity. So, we had a group of admissions and financial aid folks, our institutional research folks, and we worked with our executive enrollment committee to come up with a proposal, which was ultimately accepted. And we said, this is something we've got to do. We decided to create a $2,500 scholarship award to provide for those that were approved for the Michigan Frontliner Award. And they just have to earn their associate's degree or a minimum of 62 college credits and enroll at Oakland University between this summer, 2021, and the fall of the 2024 semester. And we, I believe, are the first university to offer that to all of the Michigan, 28 of them, right, community colleges. So we're really excited to do that. And this award can also be stacked with our other transfer, merit, and need-based awards, so that there's other funding available aside from this new award too, which I think that's great news to the frontline workers.
And so with that, Dawn, don't get me wrong, $2,500, I'll take it if I'm struggling, right?
Yeah.
But I was surprised. Like, I went to sign up for a class like through a community college last year, just as like an adult education. I couldn't believe the cost of college right now. I don't have any kids. I have a dog who's not going to go to college, which is a good thing right now for me. But with that, $2,500 is not really going to go that far. And I know that you want them to team it up with some of these other grants and scholarships. So is that enough to actually help these people who are struggling? Because we're really talking about what, like grocery store workers, because we do know that a lot of people that are on the front lines of the healthcare industry, a lot of them already have their bachelor's when we're talking about the people in the hospitals. So this is really what aimed at grocery store workers and some of the people, and is it only for certain programs as well?
Sure. Well, per the state of Michigan, they're defining those workers that worked in an essential industry. So yes, grocery stores, restaurants, waste management, personal protective equipment, folks, those that manufactured them, public transportation, critical police and fire. And actually, a lot of those students don't have a 4-year degree. And even maybe you'll have an RN, but they don't have their BSN, they don't have their Bachelor of Science in Nursing. So there are many folks that would definitely be benefited by earning a degree. And yes, you are right. Tuition is expensive. Investing in a 4-year degree is quite expensive, but now having the governor's program, which can help offset those costs. So some of them will actually get 2 years tuition free at the community college, I think that will help them to better afford the 4-year degree. The other thing is a lot of these folks, because they are in a lower income, will qualify for federal aid. So they could get a Pell Grant. They could get some other funding. So it's important, again, a lot of these folks, for them to be connected with folks that understand the financial aid process, and we can walk them through. We obviously don't want to help people create large debt. We want them to afford this education and have it pay off for them.
Yeah, and that's what we need to understand too. There's a big difference when we're talking about grants too. We want students to understand there's a responsible way to try to go to college, but you also need to look at the industry that you're going into and how much that degree is going to pay off. And I'm just saying, coming from journalism, typically, just to let people know, your first job out of college might be right now in the low 20s. And so if you owe $75,000, $80,000 in college loans, you're going to have a hard time paying those off if you're thinking about going into journalism. So with students, they really need to kind of do their research as well and look into some of these things, because we also have to remember college is a business too. You guys have expenses. And it costs to have to be able to offer these programs and these degrees. And so there is an expense with that, and people need to outweigh, because the big push right now too, not only here in the state of Michigan, but also across the country, has to do with the trade industry and trying to get more students into the trade industry. And do you find there's kind of a competition right now because of COVID and the pandemic, that students are leaning more towards the community college pathway?
Well, I definitely think there's always been choices for students to make. And I really look at the community colleges as partners because we do offer some of the similar course offerings. Like, for example, our general ed, they offer a lot of the general ed, but in terms of 4-year degrees, very few community colleges can offer a 4-year degree. And, at Oakland, because we have faculty that are PhDs and they do conduct research, that definitely distinguishes us. But we do partner with them. And I think we're both committed to helping families, support themselves and to pursue careers that maybe they didn't think were possible. And so by us talking with one another about how do we help students that are really transfer students make this experience affordable and for them to leverage, their associate's degree. And that's why we even have reverse transfer agreements. We're getting much better at talking with one another and making sure we can accept the credits and that our faculty collaborate too. This is something I think is so critical. This is before the pandemic. It was important, but now more than ever to work together and obviously to talk about funding for education. I would think even though the community colleges are supported by their county and the state, they still have some of the same challenges as the university does. And clearly their tuition is set at a lower rate than a university, but they're also, especially during the pandemic, finding that they're having other expenses to upscale some of the things that they've been doing, especially with the expansion of the technology necessary to offer online classes and services.
So I know the current semester is underway right now, Dawn. What is the time limit for students to be able to apply and also take advantage of some of these programs?
Absolutely. Well, we're accepting applications now for this summer and fall 2021, as well as next winter 2022. And we have a free admissions application. So students can really apply anytime. And if they need assistance, we have admissions advisors that can make appointments even outside of the business hours of 8 a.m. till 5 p.m. We're very flexible with helping folks because we know folks work different hours. So, we would encourage students to obviously apply early, and that way we can work with them on securing financial aid, other scholarships and grants, but they can also, apply right close to the beginning of the semester. And so, right now we just started our winter semester. Our summer semester actually starts in May. So folks have a lot of time to go ahead and apply and get admitted, and for us to apply the Frontline Workers Scholarship as well as other awards if they qualify.
It's great that you're waiving the application fee, because those can start to get expensive, especially, high school students right now that are starting the application process for college, because that's, in the beginning process. But with that, what advice would you give to a student or a potential student when it comes to filling out that application? Because just because you fill out the application does not necessarily mean you're going to be accepted.
True. It's very important just for them to be honest and to give us the required information. Students can also provide supplemental information to explain if there's a situation they want us to be aware of. Perhaps they had a rough semester in high school or even in the community college. So it's an opportunity to share their story. And for them, it's really easy if they're coming from a community college. All they have to do is request that their transcript be sent to the university. And if they're coming from high school, their high school counselor can submit it. And everything is done fairly easy electronically or through US mail. And we can make decisions pretty quickly. So we have some students who submit their application and talk to us, and we can admit them usually within 24 hours. Back in the day when I was first in admissions, it could sometimes take months. And when we were getting it down to weeks, it was exciting. And now literally we can do it on the spot. So we have the ability to do that. And again, if students just share their information and are honest, I find that decisions can be made pretty quickly. And if they've had, like I said, a circumstance, that they need to explain, we sometimes have a committee that review that, and that decision could take a few days.
Don, with that, for people that are considering going back to college, that because this is geared towards frontline workers, and some of these workers may have been out of school for 10, 15 plus years, but say, hey, this is the opportunity for me to change the path of my life. For those people, when you say getting transcripts, not so easy to be able to go online and just download them and send them. What advice would you give to them?
Sure. I think sometimes calling the institution that they attended, they can help them do that as well. And in many cases, they can send those, obviously, as I said, through the US mail as well. And then us at Oakland, we can tell them what to do. We, again, are close partners with the 28 community colleges, and we know how students can request their transcripts to be sent. So we can absolutely assist them with that. And I think you bring up a good point, especially for those who have been out of school. We have some amazing advisors and counselors that will also meet with students virtually. When it's safe to do so, we can meet in person again. We were able to do that through part of the pandemic, but right now, to keep things safe, we are doing things virtually. And we're happy to call them if they're not comfortable or they don't have access, to a computer. So we can also walk them through those steps.
Well, Dawn, just as a reminder, you're listening to 89.3 WBLD Orchard Lake, 88.1 WBFH Bloomfield Hills. Dawn Abury with us here on the MegaCast. She's the VP for Enrollment Management over at Oakland University. Dawn, we so appreciate your time, but before we let you go, anything maybe I didn't ask that you want to share with our audience before we let you go?
I think something important, and I know there are some folks that really are thinking about taking a gap semester or gap year. And I just want to, again, reinforce what I said a little bit earlier, that, this is a time for you to really enroll at college, and we're ready to help you and offer generous merit and need-based awards. We have outstanding faculty and staff to ensure your transition from high school or to the community college is smooth. A gap year will likely delay both your college graduation and securing your first full-time job if you aren't currently employed, and you could lose that salary. And peers who are in college this fall will have an advantage over you. And of course, the cost of your degree will likely be higher as most institutions increase tuition annually. So, and then last but not least, I think the research is clear. Some students who take a gap year do lose momentum and they don't ever enroll or they don't return to college. So again, I would just encourage you to reach out to us. We're happy to talk with you if you are exploring a gap year. But again, my advice as someone who's been working in university supporting students through to graduation is stay in school, earn that degree, and it will definitely be to your advantage.
Well, Dawn, we so appreciate your time here on the MegaCast.
Thank you so much, Ronnie. I hope you have a wonderful day.
Thank you again. And quickly, before we let you go, if people want to apply, they're thinking about applying, what is your website for them to get more information?
Sure. www.oakland.edu/apply. Or if you just go to oakland.edu and click on admissions, you'll get right to the website. And you can also read about the Frontline Workers Scholarship too. Thank you.